Are we screwed in the Warzone content? I mean, we're 50-50 here.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about why a lot of Warzone content that you see on social media these days is pretty much fake and how it's going to impact the future of this channel. And by the way, this is going to be more of just my raw, unfiltered thoughts about this whole thing because I just want to be honest with you guys, and that's always what I've tried to do on this channel. Now, to understand Warzone content and really Call of Duty content, you have to realize that the majority of it is done in bot lobbies. Whether people are posting tutorials or they're posting high kill gameplays or even just funny hot mic interactions, the majority of this content happens in bot lobbies.
Mine has never been fake, FYI. Anytime I stream COD, I have never faked a single thing. I've never two-boxed, never cheated, never hacked. None of it. Mine's always been raw content. I swear by that.
And this really goes back to the start of Call of Duty. It's pretty much baked into the Call of Duty DNA that people love bot lobby content. If you look at some of the earliest videos on YouTube that are really popular, it was mostly just people stomping pubs and getting a lot of kills, and people loved it because it's natural to like to watch someone who's really good at a competitive game. It's really no different from watching pro basketball players or pro football players. And for a long time, this was fine, and Call of Duty actually encouraged pub stomping. There's a reason why they have the whole nuke kill streak in the first place, because they want to reward people who get a lot of kills in a row.
Yeah.
But there's also like some famous messages where they would post basically to take it easy on the Christmas noobs around Christmas time, and just kind of making a joke about these new players getting stomped as kind of a rite of passage for playing the game. But then somewhere along the lines,
I mean, technically everyone gets stomped on when if they've never played COD, everyone gets stomped on initially, right?
Started to change their matchmaking algorithm, where in the past it had been mostly based on ping and your connection to the server and how close you were to the server, and they changed it into something else. Now, a lot of people think that it's based purely on skill and they call it skill-based matchmaking, but it's really more of engagement optimized matchmaking. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but the best information that we have from previous Call of Duty developers is that you can think of it basically like an AI, and it kind of builds like a profile for all the different players, and essentially it's trying to predict when you're going to hop off the game. So the algorithm will give you a lot of challenging matches, and then right when it thinks that you might hop off for the day, it might give you a really easy lobby, which then gives you a dopamine boost and makes you want to stay on the game. I mean, how many times have you
really
just
been
so mad at the game and wanted to hop off, but you just kept telling yourself, okay, one more game, and then you finally get that great game, and then now all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I can play for another couple hours. But either way, this algorithm is not purely based on skill, and essentially it wants to keep you on the game as long as possible. So contrary to popular belief, everyone at some point in time gets bot lobbies. So if you're a content creator and you're trying to get content, it's those opportunities where you get the bot lobbies where you're going to get your clips and get your videos that you're going to post to YouTube. But the problem with this is this can take a lot of time. You're oftentimes going to be in the blender playing in very, very sweaty lobbies until the game just gifts you that easy lobby, and then it's up to you to make the most of that lobby. And oftentimes, if you make one simple mistake, you might completely ruin that gameplay and then now have to play another couple of hours of grueling games to still get that content. So what a lot of content creators started doing is they started to find ways to basically trick the matchmaking algorithm to give them easier lobbies. Now, I have a whole video breaking this down, but basically you can use a VPN to hide your location, you can geofence into different servers around the world, then you can also do something called two-boxing, where you basically create a brand new account and you use that account to queue into matches, and then
which I have never done. If you're watching this and you think everyone does it, not everyone does it, because I certainly don't.
You join that account with your main account, and then once you're in the match, you just back out the bot lobby account.
It takes too much time to set that up,
into the match by yourself. Now, some people think this is cheating because you're manipulating the matchmaking. Some people think it's okay as a creator as long as you tell your community. But regardless of whether or not you think this is cheating, the fact remains that the more bot lobbies you get as a content creator, the better your content is going to be. And that's what puts a lot of content creators in a tough situation, because if a viewer has the option to watch two different content creators, and one of the content creators is always getting bot lobbies and is having a lot of fun and just slamming the lobbies pretty much every single time, they're probably going to watch that person versus the other content creator who has to struggle for hours at a time just to get that one good gameplay. And
so if you ever watch me struggle, and I know I'm pausing a lot here, and I said I was never going to do that again, and I have been. If you ever watch me and I play COD, my lobbies are cracked out because there's no two boxing, no VPN, no geo or anything, geofencing or anything like that. I've never done it ever, so it's just harder for me.
Even more interesting to
Pause.
think about is if you're someone who thinks that two-boxing or
Pause.
VPNing is cheating, what makes it okay for a matchmaking algorithm to determine when it gives you a bot lobby versus you just going out and getting the bot lobbies yourself? And just to be clear, the gameplay that you guys are watching is a Rebirth Souls gameplay that is in normal matchmaking. I wasn't VPNing or two-boxing. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm pretty much of the stance that if you are going to do those things, it's best to let your community
That was
know.
rough.
But the fact remains that there's a lot of easy ways to break the matchmaking in Call of Duty, and it's basically created this big distrust between the viewers and the content creators, because even if you post a bot lobby that you just got naturally through the matchmaking process, people will still accuse you of two-boxing or VPNing to get the content. So it's
True.
kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't when
yep.
it comes to getting easier lobbies, because you're going to get them either way by playing the game normally. It's just going to take a lot longer, or you can kind of bypass all of that by using some of these methods that I've talked about. And I think there's
Please
actually
don't.
a much bigger problem here. It's why is the general Call of Duty community still so obsessed with getting bot lobbies and pub stomping even after all of these years? And I think the simple answer is that for the really sweaty good players in Call of Duty, there's not really a great mode that you can play where you can showcase your skill. Now, a lot of players will say to go play ranked if you're sweaty and you want to prove that you're the best, but any good player is going to basically tell you that ranked in Call of Duty and Warzone is basically a joke. Call of Duty games are inherently designed to be more casual friendly, which means that a lot of the skill expression in the game is basically taken out of it. It's why this game has really strong aim assists. It's why they just nerfed the movement speed to make it slower, and it's why the time to kill is really fast. All of these things favor casual players.
Yes.
You can't just create a new mode with these same casual design characteristics and then call it ranked and call it a good job. For ranked to
'cause
be
it's not
competitive,
ranked.
they would need to introduce more skill gap by, for instance, nerfing aim assists. They could also buff the movement, but more importantly, they'd have to fix a lot of the core issues with Warzone in general. They'd have to fix the audio bugs so that you get consistent audio, and they would have to increase the server quality or increase the time to kill. Because right now, Warzone runs on 20 tick rate servers, which means that your peaker's advantage in a lot of gunfights can be over 100 milliseconds, which is absolutely insane when you consider the time to kill in close range gunfights can be 600 milliseconds. That basically means that, what, 15-16% of the gunfight just comes down to who has peaker advantage and who has the better ping connection, which is absolutely crazy if you're going to call a mode competitive. So all of this to say is that Warzone content, I think, is kind of in shambles because Warzone hasn't really matured like other games to actually have a really good ranked mode that
But hasn't it been like this for years? It's been like this for years, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
people aspire to basically be good at, and that ranked mode doesn't give players a prestige that they're looking for. So in other words, you basically have these really good players that instead of playing ranked where they should be playing, they want to pub stomp because that's what gets them the notoriety. That's what gets them the views on YouTube. That's what makes the casual players think that they're really good at the game. And you basically just had this like feedback loop where players are trying to get the easiest lobbies possible in pubs because it makes them look better. Instead of it being a race to the top to be the best player in ranked, it's more like a race to the bottom to see who can get the best bot lobbies.
I will prove myself always 24/7 day and night that I don't have those bot lobbies and that I can actually play against other people properly, right? Otherwise, what are you creating stuff for? What are you creating like things like this for if you're just doing that? You have to show that you can win, but you can also lose if you don't have good placement, good positioning. It's all a variable.
And the unfortunate part about all of this is I'm not super optimistic that this is going to be fixed anytime soon. I think culturally, Warzone and Call of Duty just really has that mindset of pub stomping just so deeply ingrained in the DNA that I just don't know that that's going to ever go away anytime soon. And then on the flip side, I don't think the developers really care that much about ranked, and I don't think that they're really invested in making the skill gap in ranked any larger. And then on top of all of that, you still have the massive cheating situation on PC because Warzone's anti-cheat just basically doesn't work, and their solution to that seems to be to offer crossplay options for console players, but the only thing that does is it splits the player base, which is also not a good thing. And what's so frustrating about Warzone failing so miserably at creating a good ranked mode is I feel like if they put a lot more effort into it and actually made it fun to play for sweaty players and also
It'd be
really exciting to
successful.
watch, I think it would fix a lot of issues with this game. Because if you're able to get a lot of the sweaty players out of stomping pubs, that would be good for the casual players because because they could play pubs and have a good time and, not have to deal with as many sweaty players.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, if you made this skill expression larger in ranked by, for instance, having faster movement or adding movement tech like the grappling mechanism from Blackout or things like that, I think sweaty players would be more excited to play ranked because there were these ways to express your skill that aren't available in public matches. And what I keep coming back to is that there's no way to really design one game mode for both casuals and sweats. And I think Warzone is going to come.
And they did do that. It's called Verdansk Casual or BR Casual, Battle Royale Casual. But when if you start making content off of that, it's not true content because I think they said 40 people are real and the other 120 aren't. It's not true content then, right? You're basically going up against a whole bunch of bots while trying to figure out who are the actual 30 to 40 people who are legit, right? So it's not true content then.
Constantly struggle trying to basically make these two communities happy because what each community wants is at complete odds with one another. And I think that they just need to look at what sports have done over the years and just really copy what they've done. If you look at golf, for instance, golf courses will vary the length of each hole and they'll basically set up tees at different distances. And based on your skill level and how good you are at golf, you'll play at one tee location versus another based on your skill level and how difficult you want the hole to be. And I think for video games in this era to survive, they need to start doing that. They need to realize that there's a lot of players who are really good at video games because they've been playing them for a really long time, and just naturally people get better at competitive things over time. You look at any kind of Olympics sport, right? The times and world records are constantly being beaten because people get better at training and getting better at things. And that's how the same thing's happening with video games. But the problem with Call of Duty is players are getting better and they're still decreasing the skill gap. So now you have these sweaty players that are stuck in lobbies with other sweaty players where the skill gap isn't really there, and it's actually much more just luck based. It's based on who gets the better hit rate from the server or who gets the better audio. So a lot of these sweaty players just don't really want to be in these lobbies because there isn't enough skill gap to make the game fun. And that's actually why I'm not playing ranked on Verdansk right now. Number one is I don't want to go up against cheaters all day long.
I've never played ranked, and in Verdansk I never played ranked, even with when it was there for Fortune's Keep. Never did it. I've never played ranked BR ever. The only ranked game I've done a little bit of is multiplayer, but that's about it. But it's not my thing. I'm competitive, but not competitive enough to be in a ranked game, if that makes sense.
Because the anti-cheat is terrible. But then number two is I just know that Call of Duty at its core is not a super competitive game. And when I'm playing people of my own skill level, a lot of it comes down to luck and things that are out of my control versus my own skill level. And that's just not nearly as fun. But on the flip side, I also don't think that two boxing and VPNing is the right move for me. I just don't personally feel like that I should be playing a game where I have to manipulate the matchmaking. I think that if the matchmaking is that bad, like I would just rather go play a different game. So that kind of leads me into the future content for this channel. Because this game has been out for several years now and Warzone basically hasn't changed in 5 years if you really think about it, there's just less and less people that are interested in tutorials and improvement content. And honestly, I just want to start kind of having more fun playing the game. So the content that you're probably going to see on this channel going forward is more gameplays and gun builds and fun challenges because I want to get back to actually just trying to have a good time playing Call of Duty. And just not taking the game so seriously because I think at the end of the day, yes, this game does have a skill gap and you can absolutely get better as a player, but really chasing those high kill wins and those high kill games, especially trying to play solo quads, it's just not going to work for me or for this channel because I'm not going to be two boxing or VPNing to get easier lobbies. But I still do genuinely enjoy this game and I love posting content that helps you guys out. So I do think it will be fun to start posting maybe more gameplays with live commentary to kind of talk through my thought process on what I'm doing and why I'm playing certain situations, but then also to give you guys different gun builds because one thing I don't really see on YouTube is the fact that with meta guns, there's oftentimes several viable builds and there's not one meta build that is just way better than the rest. A lot of it just comes down to your own skill level and your playstyle preferences. So I think it could be kind of fun to give you guys a couple builds of the same gun and then just give you some options to try out and see what you like best. I also think that most of my gameplays are going to be in solo resurgence lobbies because honestly, playing trios and quads is just so sweaty nowadays on Resurgence if you're just playing in normal lobbies. And then Verdansk, as much as I want to like that map, I just think that there's just so much luck and randomness in that game mode with the time to kill being so fast that I just don't really enjoy getting shot in the back constantly, and I'm just not a huge fan of Battle Royale right now. And I'm still hoping that they have plans for Resurgence content with this next season, and maybe they'll bring back Ashika or Vondel, because I do genuinely really like Resurgence a lot, because like I said, this game does have kind of a lower skill gap compared to other FPS games, but that's what's so nice about Resurgence is that you do get opportunities to come back if you do get shot in the back or third party, or there's some situation that's just completely out of your control. I would love to hear what you guys think about these content ideas, so make sure to leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you.
Yeah, that's and he makes a fair point, right? Like it's gotten very sweaty. I tried the other day to solo quad it just to see. The most kills I got that entire stream when I did it was 15 kills, which isn't bad for me. Even though there's like what 20 people left, or I guess 19, not including myself, which is good. But he is right. It's sweaty. People are holding hands more. They're not separating out as much as you would like. But how would you fix Warzone content other than just gun challenges, gun builds? Like, what's one thing that you would like to see off of Warzone content? That is the question.